little things, guys. All right. So, listen up here. All the learning targets are on there. You need to move your chair. Okay. It's still in the way. Okay. The learning targets are beside them. So, this one's, this chapter, the learning targets, I think, are the best ones out of any chapter we've done. Because it really, if you have a lot of X's on 2, then you need to work on 2. If you have X's on 3, 4, and 5, or whatever, then you have X's. So use that to study, and don't wait till Tuesday night to study, because the test is Wednesday. Start studying this weekend, and you can use this video as needed, and all previous videos as well. Okay. Number 1, we're going to write 154% as a fraction or mixed number, but the key is in simplest form, because if it didn't need to be in simplest form, it would simply just be 154 over 100, because all percentages are going to be a fraction out of 100, obviously, like we've been saying along or every single time. Now that's obviously an improper fraction. It's going to be an improper fraction. Okay, so right away, can I eliminate letter A? Can I eliminate B? Can I eliminate C? Why can I eliminate those just based on looking at them? I don't like to rely on these kinds of methods, but why is A, B, and C like already eliminated? Yes.
I think you just mean A and B. Yeah.
And D. I'm sorry. A, B, and D. I'm sorry. I didn't mean C. A, B, and D.
Yeah.
Why can I eliminate those?
Well, A and B because 154 and 77 aren't factors of 100.
Well, that could be, but there's an even easier way, guys. Raga? Well, is this right here an improper fraction? So doesn't that mean that it is greater than 1? Aren't A, B, and D all proper fractions? Less than 1? Less than 1? Less than 1? Now, I don't want to rely on that because it might not be like that on the test, but, test-taking strategies, remember, if you can eliminate 3 answers, then you know the 4th one must be the correct one. That's what I've tried to teach you. Don't find the right one, find the 3 wrongs. Okay? But if you did this the right way, you could have done it like this and divided by 2. Maybe you did it like that, and then you got, what would it be? 77 over 50.
Xavier Jackson, please come in the main office. Xavier Jackson, please come in the main office.
And we know that 77 over 50 is, you might have to do a little bit of work, but obviously you probably simplified it in your calculator, which is okay. That would be in simplest form. Now that wasn't available, so obviously you had to go and say, okay, it could be a fraction or a mixed number. And when you figure that out, then you know, oh yeah, that's got to be 1 and 27/50ths. So letter C would be the correct answer here. Okay. Remember, to turn an improper to a mixed number, you just use the second button and then the ABC button to get you there. So make sure you give yourself a check or an X. Yeah.
So I did it, but I turned it into a mixed number first.
Fine. Then it's fine. However you want to do it, that's perfectly fine. You could have went 1 and 54/100ths and then simplified it. Same thing. Same exact thing. Write 82% as a fraction in simplest form. Same exact skill here. Turning a fraction into a percentage, you know that it's going to be 82 over 100 because all percentages are fractions out of 100. Okay? And then you hopefully you could have just realized they're both even. That's the first thing. And then you got 41/50ths. Then you remember, that's fine if you did that and you realized that was in simplest form. But everybody, I just hope that you guys continue to do this. Since you have a calculator, just use it real quick. Just go in and do 82, ABC 100, just to check yourself. Okay? You guys have already proven to me that you know how to simplify fractions. So now we're on to turning percents to fractions. All right, number 3. Write the following percent as a regular number. Now remember, percentages are out of 100. So percents have a percent sign. Fractions have a fraction bar, obviously. And then the regular numbers are just any number, 2.9. 33, 51, 28, 28.2, 0.9. Those are all regular numbers. So we know that anytime we want to turn a fraction into a regular number, we would just divide top divided by bottom. Well, this is kind of the same thing. Okay, you know this is the fraction 83/100ths, right? So if you did 83 divided by 100, you would just say, okay, that'd be doing 83 divided by 100, which is going to give you 0.83. Another way that makes this really super easy is just when I said that fraction 83/100ths, wouldn't I say that number the same way, the correct way, 83/100ths? So it's the same thing. So that's another way to kind of think about it. Okay? But just remember, going from, and you may, if you're missing these guys, these types, which I think are the ones that people miss the most, going from percent to regular and regular to percent. Just write yourself a little key here. Percent to regular, you're going to be dividing by 100. When you're going regular to percent, you're multiplying by 100. So if you guys can remember that, you will get all these right. So that's something, maybe you want to write that down, maybe not, I don't care. It's in your notes as well. But, you know, I want to give you guys every opportunity to be able to get these right on the test. So here, I know that that's a percentage. If I'm using my key, I'm saying, okay, percent to regular would be dividing by 100. But I feel like these are the easy ones because you know that all fractions are out of 100 and all fractions are division problems. So obviously it's dividing by 100. Okay? And that's going to give you 0.00015 would be your answer there. Obviously, ooh, that ain't going to work. You guys can also, if you want, it doesn't matter, you can have this 0 here too. Either way on that one. Okay? Everybody go with that? Okay, let's go to number 5. Okay. Where's number 5? Here it is. Okay, now there's 2 ways you could have done it. I'll show you both ways. Now I called it learning target 3 and 6 because technically it is both. It could be either one. So I'm going to do the learning target 3 method first. Let me actually do this above. So I'm going to do the 3 method first. So I'll just draw like an arrow here. And then we'll do 6 over here. Okay, the learning target 3 method was that little 3-step process that's in your notes. And you just got to remember that the word of means what in math? Multiplication. And then you got to know that you have to turn that percent into a regular number. So again, it's the same skill as we did over on number 3 and 4. You got to do 25 divided by 100 because it's a fraction out of 100. And that's going to give you 0.25 or 25 hundredths. And then you just do it like that. Okay? And that's going to give you, I think, 98. What is it, guys? 98.75. Okay, and that's your answer there? 98.75. Now, if you did it learning target 6 method, I'll show you that. Sometimes I feel like the learning target 6 method is a little easier because it's less likely you're going to make a mistake in the proportion method than you will. Like here, if you mess this up, you know, if you're struggling with this, you're going to miss these too. Whereas if you do the proportion method, I think you'll have a better opportunity to get it right. So you may want to write this on your paper just so you have it. You have it all over your notes and everything. But if you're somebody that uses the formative as a study tool, as you should, this is what you really got to know. Part to whole equals percent over 100. What word helps us to identify what the part is, though? Is and of. Okay, we've got to know that. Okay, is and of. Okay, so because it says 25%, now it says is 25%, I get that. But since it has that percent sign, it automatically goes in that spot. And then we just see, is it saying is a number or of a number? 395. We cross multiply divide, no moving the decimal needed. You just cross multiply and divide, you are going to get 98 and 7,500. So you get the same exact answer. Like I said, I don't care which method you do on these, but I'll show you where it got some of you in trouble. As I was looking through the clickers yesterday, there's one that you're going to see here in a minute on the next page that people are missing because they're trying to do the 3 method. I would advise you to all take a look at that method because I think that method is going to help you not make as many errors. But let's face it, if you get out in the real world and you're doing tax and tip and that kind of stuff and finding percents of numbers, you're probably not going to set up a proportion. You're probably going to just do this. You can say, okay, I'm leaving a 25% tip. Okay, I'm going to do 0.25 times 395. That's how people in the real world do it. So either way, all right. Next one, number 6. This is learning target 6. Okay. Now, first of all, you had to have a proportion. If you do not have a proportion, it is wrong. This is how I've taught you to do it, and I want you to do it this way on these. Okay. Now remember, it's part to whole equals percent over 100. We always start there. Okay. If 49%, since I see that percent sign, can I go ahead and put 49 there? Yep. And once again, I'm going to go ahead and just write is and of in here. Well, you know what? No, I'm not. Is and of doesn't help you as much in the word problems because it kind of does. Sometimes it does, but it's not something I rely on. Okay. But the other ones like this, like what is 25% of 395 or 48% is 12 of what number, that kind of stuff. That's when the proportion is necessary, I think, or is over of is necessary. Okay, so we just got to figure out if 49% of the 600 people went snowboarding. So what did these 49% do? They went snowboarding. So I like to put labels on there. You guys can add them on right now if you'd like, just as a little thing to maybe help you. And it's just like chapter 5, how we always kept labels consistent. Well, this is the same way. If 49%, and remember, this is, we could put P and W there. It's part to whole, part to whole. That's the whole point of it. Okay? So if I know that the part on the percent was the amount that went snowboarding, then this number here must be the exact number that went snowboarding, right? Because snowboarding, this would be total. So if you ever have any problems remembering which one goes where, just keep your labels consistent in the word problems, okay? I know that we want to know how many went snowboarding. So right away, I know that in this case, I'm trying to find the part because that's the amount that went snowboarding. The whole would be 600. We are then going to cross multiply and then divide by 100, and we are going to get 294. Okay? You have to use proportions. If you're not using proportions on learning targets, you might want to write up yourself a little note. Learning target number 5, number 6, and number 7. Proportions are, you got to have them or it's wrong. I want you to. And again, that's just me protecting you from yourselves so that you're not trying to do it a different way and then missing it because of it. I just want you guys to do as well as you can. Okay? And proportions will make it a little easier on you. Okay? All right, number 7. Okay, now here's a strip diagram. There is a couple different ways you could do this strip diagram, so I'm not going to do both, but I'll explain both. We're going to visually represent each percent using a strip diagram. Okay, if there were 80 days of summer vacation and it was sunny 75% of the time, how many days was it sunny? Okay, well, what did I always told you guys, you always got to identify the percent first, correct? Absolutely. We always identify the percent first because that's going to tell us how to cut our strip diagram up. Now remember, there's only 3 ways to cut your strip diagram up. You can cut it into 50-50. You can cut it into 4 sections of 25. You could cut it into 5 sections of 20. Or of course you could cut it into 10 sections of 10%. Which one would be the ideal way to cut your strip diagram for this particular percentage given? Into 4 sections of 25%. Now your sections, hopefully they're close to being the same, your size, but obviously it doesn't really matter if they're not perfect. So I said you have to put your percents in there, or at least above it or something. You have to write that in there. Every piece of your strip has to include both a percent and a real number. Now we know the whole strip represents 100%, right guys? All right. Now, do we also know that the whole strip is going to represent some sort of total?
Yep.
Total something. Total money, total candy. In this case, we're talking about days. So I'm going to go ahead and put total days. That just helps me get me thinking because 100% of the days would be all the days, the total amount of days, right? So that's why we do it that way. Okay? Now, we got to figure out whether that 80 right there, whether that is a part or whether that is a whole. That's the big question here. That's what we've got to figure out because either 80 is representing the whole strip or it's just representing a part of it. Okay? Now, if it rained, if it was sunny 75% of the time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do one of these things. And feel free to add on to yours as we go, even though you're doing it in pen. Doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means that you're putting stuff on your paper so that you can study to have it ready if you are struggling with these or whatever. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it was sunny. Would you guys agree with that? That's the amount it was sunny. Obviously, this section right here, this would be not sunny or rainy or something. It obviously wasn't sunny. Okay? So we want to know how many days was it sunny. Well, if it's asking this, we want to know how many days it was sunny, then 80 must represent the what?
Whole.
The whole. So 80 is going to go right there. Now remember, the whole point to a strip diagram is to figure out one. To figure out one section. We want to know 2 numbers. We already broke it down and said that one section is 25%. Now we've got to figure out how many days. Well, since 80 represents all 4 pieces, I'm going to do 80 divided by 4. That's going to give me 20 days in each one of these sections. 20 days in each one, and there we go. Now I can look at it and say, okay, if they want to know how much it's sunny, I look right there and I say, oh, it's obviously going to be 60 days. Okay? Now, you didn't have to check with a proportion, but if you didn't do it, I'd write it on there now. It's not wrong if you didn't check, but I want you guys, you all finished the test in about 25, 30 minutes, which meant you had 25 extra minutes to work on it, and you didn't take advantage of it. When you get done with these strip diagrams, why not just come down here and do this? Just to make sure. You could, think about how many little mistakes you could make. You could not do 80, you could do 80 divided by 3 accidentally, or you could do 80 divided by 4 wrong, or there's just little things you can do. Why not just check it real quick? So obviously the percentage was 75%, right? And then 80 we know represented the whole, like the total vacation. Remember, 75 represented sunny. So then this must represent the actual days that it was sunny. So we cross multiply and divide, we do get 60. So that just confirmed that I got it right. Go ahead and put what you got out of 7 on that page, please. All right, now we got one more strip diagram here. Mary saved $140 to buy a new PlayStation 3. This is 40% of the total cost. What does the PlayStation cost? So first of all, identify the percentage. How do you think I should cut my strip diagram up first of all?
20s.
I should cut it up into 20s. I would agree. 20% sections. Is there another method I could use though?
Yeah, 10%.
Could I do 10% sections as well? But that's just going to be more work, and why do it when you can just do it like this? So again, you must have the percent broken down in there, and if you did 10% sections, that's fine. Okay? The whole strip always represents what? 100%. And then also it's always going to represent a what? A total or a whole amount, like some total. So what are we talking about? Cost of the PS4. So isn't that the total cost of it? Huh? Yep. So one thing I always look at is I say, okay, what does the PlayStation cost? If the question's asking for the cost, then wouldn't I be looking for this? Isn't that the whole point right here? I'm trying to find the total cost of that PS4. So obviously, she does not have enough money. So we've got to answer the question, is that a part or whole? Well, it can't be. If it was a whole, why would they be asking me how much it costs? Right? Okay. So I do my little bracket here, or you can always shade, but I'm going to shade 40%. And that 40% is representing what?
$140.
Yeah, $140, exactly. The amount that she has saved. Because she saved 40%, which would be 2 pieces of that strip diagram. Now remember, what's the whole goal of a strip diagram again? To figure out one little section. Now this is where these ones I think are a little bit more challenging than the previous one. Because I think students get stuck on whether to do 140 divided by 5, because there are 5 sections, or whether to do 140 divided by 2. Well, you got to realize that 140 only represents this from here over. So you're not these we don't know yet. These aren't even saved yet. She has not saved that amount of money. She has only saved those 2 sections. So it's got to be 140 divided by 2, which would make $70 in each piece of this strip diagram. And your strip should look like this. Okay. Now, if we're trying to find the total cost, obviously it's going to be 70 times 5, which would be $350 for the full cost. Okay. Doing a proportion here, we know this is going to be part over whole equals percent over 100. Okay. So when I look at this, I go, okay, I know the 40% is going to go there. Now, what does that 40% represent again? The amount of money she has done what with? Saved. So wouldn't this be the actual amount she saved? This would be the total. So what do we know? Do we know the total, or do we know how much she saved?
How much you saved?
Exactly. So there we go. That's how you kind of think it through. But always should be checking with it. You are going to get $350 once again. Same way. Just confirmation that you did it right. Okay, number 9. You have to use a percent proportion here. If you don't, it is wrong. I got to put all my stuff on there. 60% of what number is 30? This is where that little trick I taught you will help you. Is usually goes here. Not usually. It does go there. Okay, so if it says 60%, we know 60 goes there. Of what number is 30? Well, that's pretty easy. That means 30 must be the part because it says is. 30, and is always goes with the part. We're going to cross multiply and divide there. We are going to get 50. Okay. Next one, you had to do a percent proportion again here. If you didn't, it's wrong. What percent? So right away, you guys should all be saying, oh, this time we're looking for this. Of 64. Whole. The whole is always represented by the word of. And then is 16. Cross multiply and divide there. You're going to get 25%. Number 11. Now we're back to the word problems. You had to use a proportion. If you did not, it is wrong. I said learning targets 5, 6, and 7 always require a proportion. Okay? It says only 55%. Now I'm just going to stop there and go ahead and put 55 on there. Now, only 55% of the children at the party voted to have pizza. So what did this 55% do? They voted for pizza. I'll just put pizza. Notice how I'm doing labels. And like I said, you can be adding this onto yours right now as a way to just remind you of how to do this. I mean, I'm just trying to give you guys the best opportunity to do well on the summative next week. Okay? So that's the amount that voted for pizza, the percentage amount. Wouldn't this be the actual amount that voted for pizza, guys? You got it. And then this must be a total. This must be a total. Let's keep reading. 33 children voted for pizza. So is that representing the part that voted for the pizza or the total amount of kids? The part. There we go. We want to know how many total kids. We're going to cross multiply and divide, and that's going to be 60 total kids. 60 total. Where are your notes at? Okay, Grace got a 96% on her last test. Good job, Grace. I'm going to do my percent proportion once again. If you didn't have it, it's wrong. So we got part to whole equals percent over 100. Okay, so she got a 96%, so I'm going to go ahead and put that percent right there. So this was what the grade she got, right? If there were 42 questions on the test, how many did she get correct? Wouldn't this be 96% mean what she got correct? So wouldn't this be the actual amount of questions she got correct? Sure it would. This would be the total, this would be the total. So we've got to identify whether 42 is just the part she got correct, or is that the total amount of questions on the test?
Total amount.
It is the total amount of questions she got on the test, obviously. Okay? And you cross multiply and divide, you end up getting this, but, which is fine. That's what I think most of you did that after I told you not to round. Technically, could you have a partial question? No. It would well, you could, but probably the answer I would want would be 40. So if you did have 40, I'll accept it. But I had this in a clicker. Either one, though. Either one is correct because I told you not to round on that one. Okay? Number 13. Again, we are going to be doing a percent proportion. If you didn't do it, it's for sure wrong. It rained on 8 days of Mrs. Allen's vacation. Mrs. Allen's vacation was 40 days long. What percentage of her vacation did it rain? So when I'm looking at this one's a little bit different because we're trying to find the percent again, right? So what do we want to know? What did it do on whatever percentage of the time?
How long did it rain?
Rain. So if that's the percent it rained, wouldn't this be the actual amount of days that it rained, guys?
Yeah.
And wouldn't this be the total number of days of her vacation? So as we look at it, this is one that I think maybe can get tricky because there's no is, no of. Which I said, word problems, is over of doesn't really help you. But on this one, you just look at it. If you do your labels, you could say, okay, it says right here, it rained on 8 days. That must be the part. And by the way, if you put 40 over 8, that wouldn't make much sense because then you're saying it's raining on 40 days out of 8 days. That doesn't make any sense, right? So this would be 40 right here. We would cross multiply and we would divide and we would get 20 or what?
Yeah, 20.
20% of the time. 20%. Okay? Okay, this question right here. Finish line received a shipment of shoes. The table shows the number of each type of shoe in the shipment. Okay? What percent of the shipment, I'm going to underline that, are the football cleats? Now, obviously, you had to have a percent proportion here. Actually, no, you didn't on this one. You didn't. If you didn't do a percent proportion, I'll show you how you could have done it. But this is one where you can use kind of is over of, because it says what percent of the shipment. So that means, doesn't that mean the total shipment? So you actually had to find the total number of shoes that were in that shipment, which was 110. That's obviously going to be your whole, right? And then the part is going to be the football cleats. So this is going to be football. This will be the percent that's football. So football, there are 28 of them. When you cross multiply and divide here, you'd end up getting 25.454545. So I just told you to round to 25%. I will also accept 25.5%, I think, right? Yep. Okay, I will accept that as well. But I told you all to round it to the nearest whole, so you should have done it. You could have just done it like this, though. You could have just found the fraction, 28 out of 110, and then you could have divided it and got 0.25, and then turned it to a percentage and made it 25%. Either way. But I always prefer the proportion method. Okay, next one. We got food bill, tax, and tip. How many different, well, you could have done it two ways. I'm just going to show you the proportion method because I think it's the easiest. You got to have a tax proportion. You have to have a tip proportion. So I look at it and I say, okay, what's my tax percentage? 7.5% over 100, part over whole. Now remember, I'm finding the percent of that number, so that's the whole, $35.70. Okay, so when I cross multiply and divide there, I get, what do I get for the tax? $2.68. Is that right, guys?
Yeah.
$2.68. And then I go ahead and do my tip over here. I'm leaving an 18% tip. I must have had really, really good service. We have part to whole. And once again, I just used $35.70. We're only putting our tip and tax on the food amount. We don't want to over tip, I guess. We only want to pay on that food amount. We're going to cross multiply and divide here, and we're going to get $6.43. Okay. And then obviously from there, I need to take the food, the tax, the tip, and I need to add them together to give me $44.81. Now, if you did not use proportions, you could have just done it like this. 7.5% of $35.70. And then done 18% of $35.70. You could have done it that way also, like the Learning Target 3 method, and I'm fine with it. But like I said, I prefer the proportion method. I think it makes it a little easier. How many questions are on that page? There are 8, I think, yeah. 8 points on that page. Okay, and the last couple here. All right, Mrs. Allen was looking through the Black Friday ads and noticed that Target had rain boots on sale for 35% discount. The rain boots are originally $55, so you got to find the discount. Okay, so here we go. You had to do a proportion here. If you didn't, it's wrong. So we have 35% discount going there. Remember, that's representing the discount or the savings.
That's Learning Target 8. You said only 5, 6, and 7. Right?
Well,
You didn't have to have a proportion.
okay, you're right. Well, that's how I taught you to do it, but that's okay. If you just did the Learning Target 3 method, once again, 35% of 55, I will accept it. If you did it that way, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. I mean, think about it. Of 55, 55 is going to be your whole. It's the same exact thing. So we're going to cross multiply, and we are going to divide. We are going to get 19. What is it? $19.25. That is the answer because all it's wanting to know is what is the discount. How much are you saving using that particular Target ad? Now for number 17, we want to know what is the sale price. How much is Mrs. Allen going to pay for those boots? Well, that's where you're going to take the $55 and you're going to subtract that discount of $19.25 and you're going to get $35.75. Okay, yes?
I switched them, but I put 35 in the first one because I got the rating.
Show me afterward. Show me afterward. Okay, here, this is worth 2 points. This is number 18. So this is number 18 and 19. So 2 checks, 2 points on this one. To turn it into a regular number, we're going to do 5 divided by 8. Okay, that's going to give me 0.625. And then to convert that into a percentage, we're going to multiply by 100 to make it 62.5%. So 2 points there. And then finally, this last one's going to be worth 2. This one's worth 1. This one's worth 1. 37%. Obviously, this is very easy. You should have one entire column, one entire column, one entire column. That's 30. And then done 7 of the final. Now, if you did rows, three rows, and then 7 extra pieces, that's fine. Okay, pretty easy on those. This one, for 38%, you just had to have this whole thing shaded on the first one. Okay, the whole thing. And then the same thing. You had to have 3 rows or 3 columns shaded completely. Only this time we had to go 8 of them. Everybody got that?
Yep.
So 138. That back page is out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that means the whole thing is going to be out of 21. Figure out your total out of 21.